If you looked at his Deficit and Debt Commission, the Simpson-Bowles Commission, and the recommendations that came out of there, and what has not been followed through on now 2 years ago, it's pretty remarkable.
But he's not interested in that. And he's not interested in leading on spending. He's not interested in cutting spending. I think if you look at this in the large view, it's becoming very clear who he is and what he wants to do. He's now in a second term. He's liberated. He can be open about what he wants to do. He once said in 2008 that Reagan was a historical president in a way that a Clinton or a Nixon was not. He meant Reagan changed the nature of the country. He got it hooked on low taxes, less government, and an increase in inequality is the way Obama sees it. He sees his historic role, Obama, is to undo Reaganism, and that means not to cut spending. It means to raise taxes. And he let the cat out of the bag on Monday. In that little rally he held, he said to Republicans, you're not getting any spending today, and you know that, any spending cuts. But he said, if you think you can get spending cuts after this, in the rest of our negotiations, the answer is no. If you want to cut in spending, you're going to have to increase taxes on the rich. Remember, he got an increase in revenues now by raising the rates on the rich. Well, now he's going to return, as he said on Monday, and get increased revenue from the rich by eliminating deductions, the other way to do it. So he has no interest in anything other than raising the level of taxation to sort of pre-Reagan levels so he can support the entitlement state, which is what his presidency is all about. It's a very long view, and I think he's attacking it exactly the right way if you were of his ideology.
Well, what about the specifics of this legislation? Charles, the angst in Republican circles was about the lack of spending cuts. What Republicans who are looking at this as a positive are saying is, one, a permanent protection against the alternative minimum tax, the AMT. The deals that they got in here that they don't think they would have gotten up to the Bush tax cuts, making the tax rates extending for all income up to $400,000 individually, $450,000 for married couples. Are there things in here that Republicans can say, you know what, this is a good deal in one sense?
Well, there are things that there's really a national consensus on. The doc fix, which is something that would automatically kick in a reduction in the amount of payment that a doctor would get for a Medicare patient, which every year was built in the law in the 90s as a way to try to cut their spending on Medicare. It was a complete disaster. Every year it gets waived, so it gets waived again. Everybody knows you have to do it. And the idea of getting permanence with the estate tax is a good idea. Permanence in anything is a good idea. Otherwise, how do you plan? How do you invest? How do you hire? And, when do you die? So all of these things are really important to do, and I think you could have gotten a consensus any day of the week. The really egregious stuff, if you're a Republican, is this kind of stimulus. One of the only good things that was going to expire at the end of the year would have been the wind power and other green energy wastes, which have been in place for years, and now it gets extended. I guess that's a price you have to pay if the other guys win the election. And then, of course, the fact that you got zero in spending. And not only that, but you got a president who said you're not going to get any now, and in the future I'm going to extract higher taxes yet on the rich if you want any spending cuts. I think the fight on spending is beginning, and Obama is going to be very entrenched on this.
Over the next 2 months. There you see the